Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Live podcast from the range with your host, John G. Johnson. Hello. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live from the range. I'm John Johnson. I'm the owner and operator of Firearms Training Facility in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida, that specializes in you. We specialize in the first-time shooter. We have had a whirlwind week so far. We had the beta group who extended. So we had a Monday at 5:45 for those guys. We technically had our master class start last night, which we had, I think, 11 or 12 on that are going to master their handgun in 4 weeks. Don't worry, guys, if you've missed that, we physically have another one starting in about 2 weeks, and it's going to be another master your handgun. It's a full course. Not only those guys get the PowerPoint presentation live each week, but they do get videos that correlate with the master class, and they're going to get homework and all the fun stuff like that. It's pretty exciting to have somebody from all over the United States working with me. If you guys ever asked or ever watched any of our videos, I wish I could work with this guy. Well, you now can. We have the master class. We are actually using it, selling it. The beta group actually helped me put it together. And now you guys are absolutely going to be able to work with us and improve your accuracy in 4 short weeks. If you're on this tonight for the very first time, I'd like to say welcome. And don't forget to comment and let us know where you're from and where you're calling from and how you found out about us. We would love to physically talk to each and every one. We are going to do comments and questions and answers, but we always start every week the same. We pull out a couple of them from our YouTube channel that people ask the question. I always get, why do I shoot low and left? I should automatically just put that one in each week. The reason why you're shooting low and left is because you got the gun over your nose and not over your dominant eye, and you're putting too much finger in the gun, and you're either pulling or jerking or doing some manipulation that's causing you to be low and left. It's an easy solve. I have an ebook. Speaking of ebooks, guys, this is what's sponsoring this channel. You guys and this are ebooks. We have a full list of ebooks that are available on our website. You can just put one of these books in the cart, put free book at checkout, and it's yours for free. Now, those books are $2.99 a piece on sale. And if you want to add a few more into the cart, it would not hurt my feelings, and you would be sporting a family-owned business and myself and my family. And I would appreciate it. What are they about? They're about grip, stance, trigger control, sight picture, sight alignment, and they break them down into a point where you make them so easy for you to understand. You'll have that aha moment. You know what an aha moment is? That's when you finally figure out what's causing you to be inaccurate with the pistol, and now you can solve those issues. That's what the beta group, that's what the master class is about. That's what about any training is about. Every night we do one of these things. It's trying to give you the aha moment. It's trying to give you the ability to say, oh, that's what the guy's been saying this whole time. That's what he's been talking about. And then once you figure out what's causing the inaccuracy, then all of a sudden, bingo, it all hits you at one time, and then you are on to the races at that point in time. And finally, you'll be able to outshoot your brother-in-law or vice versa, right? So there we go. I've got a comment here real quick. Let's see who this is. Howard, how are you, sir? From the Florida Keys. Howard, where you at in the Florida Keys, buddy? I love Marathon. My wife and I go to Marathon all the time. Well, I don't say all the time. Once a year, I have to get my keys fixed once a year. we don't go all the way down to craziness of Key West. We've been down there, but it's a kind of a drive when you stay in Marathon. That's my favorite marathons. I stay in one of those little 60 resorts down there around the Atlantic. Pretty economical, pretty cheap. We stayed at the Rainbow Resort there, Rainbow Bend Resort in Marathon last year. It's still from us. It's still about a 6 hour drive, a four and a half, probably five. But you got to go through Miami area there, so it's somewhat challenging. Welcome, Howard. Thank you for being here, buddy. So the question number two is, how do I identify? This came from a guy. How do I identify what's causing my inaccuracy? Uh, and then I kind of responded to him, you need to let me know what the target looks like. There are a lot of different things that could cause the problem. A lot of times what I think happens to most people is they roll their neck or they turtle in and don't have the gun on the horizontal line, and then they're slapping or pulling the trigger versus keeping it level. Guys, if you have a question or a comment and you'd like to make it each week, we actually have a unique thing that you can do. You can ask questions from us each week, and we have this thing called SpeakPipe, and SpeakPipe is a answering system. Basically, you put speakpipe.com/. John the firearms instructor, and you can ask us a question. It can only be 90 seconds long. And once you've asked that question, we'll play it the following week and sponsor it for you. We'll give you a shout out and everything else like that when you go ahead and use SpeakPipe. Speakpipe.com/. John the firearms instructor, and we'll answer any of your questions. We built this channel all around the whole point of entertainment, motivation, and education. And we hope we do that for you each week. All right, so today's show, I wanted to put together. So last week, I put a video together, and you may have seen it already. Some of you have watched our YouTube channel and watch our videos, but here's the target for that. And this is called the defensive accuracy target. And these are circles. These are 1 inch circle, 2 inch circle, 3 inch circle, 4 inch circle. And this kind of gave me an idea. What kind of shooter am I? And this helped me understand, what am I, a defensive shooter or I am a bullseye shooter? And those two things are two different kind of shooters if you think about it. I'm trying to get in the middle of this thing. I'm having a little bit of it. There. What kind of shooter am I? And I want to be as accurate as I can be, right? But then again, I want to shoot as fast as I can as well. And both of those things cause a little bit of fight with each other. So understanding the difference between bullseyes shooter and a defensive shooter, go ahead and comment. Let me know what you think you are, if you don't mind. And if you're doing this live, watching it live, you can go ahead and comment today. If you're commenting after the fact, we still get those as well, but you can let us know what kind of shooter you are. It's not all the shooters train the same way. That's because their goals are different. Two of the most common shooters are bullseye shooters and defensive shooters. While both shooters are using a firearm, their training styles, their mindset, and the outcome are very different. Knowing the difference can help you choose the right path depending on your personal goals, whether you're aiming for precision on a piece of paper or preparing to defend your life. Now, this YouTube video I put out there, and I am going to define each one of them, but the thumbnail had me looking at you with some crazy look I always do. And all it says is bullseyes won't save your life. and that's kind of one of those. Uh, it did well. It got to 1,000 views very quickly, and that tells me the video is good. If it gets in and jumps in and runs real fast and gets to 1,000 views, that's 1,000. But it got a huge amount of comments. Huge amount of comments. Everyone asking for a PDF target. We give targets away of these drills all the time, and we got a lot of people wanting this target. I shot this at the range. I shot 5 shots into each circle, knowing that the 1 inch circle may have been my biggest challenge. And it was compared to everything else. Let's see if I can add it back. The 1 inch circle, I did cut a couple of those outside the line. Now, if you guys shoot this drill, you need to put it out at 5 yards. If you want one of these targets, they're going to be downloadable from the description below. But if you don't know how to do that, just go ahead and comment target, and I'll get you one this evening. I'll send it to you this evening through your through just go right to the end when this video is done. You can comment down below and put target, and we'll get you one. The nice thing about this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Here's the secret. Ready? That's the target. 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. If you're a defensive shooter, that's the target. Because if you can shoot that 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, you ain't missing, guys. Whether you miss the one or you drop the bullet below the two, or you're all left with the three, and the four you're all high right, you still didn't miss the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So as the defensive shooter, you'd have won that. Now, as the bullseye shooter, they'd be upset about that because they didn't hit the actual target itself. I think, in my opinion, you need to be a little bit of both. And I'll explain as we go here. What is a bullseye shooter? A bullseye shooter focuses on extreme precision. This type of shooter often trains for competition, where every shot counts and accuracy is measured by fractions of the inch. Positives of a highly bullseye shooter is highly accurate. They master trigger control, sight alignment, and breathing, for example, for extreme precision. They have strong fundamentals. Their foundation in shooting and mechanics is usually solid and refined. The mental discipline is there. The competing and the bullseye shooting develops focus and patience. How many of y'all saw the Olympics where that guy hopped out, didn't have all that patch and everything? Only thing he was missing was a cigarette in his mouth when he went to shoot the Olympics. And he looked like a standard guy, and he went and got silver for that, right? It's pretty cool. And all those other guys had patches over their eyes, and highly expensive pistols and everything else. He just had it down to a science. But those are the kind of people we're talking about, the Olympic shooters. Consistent performance, the repetition, the structure to lead to very consistent results. Number 5 is good tracking progression. Targets clearly show improvements and weaknesses. And this is the one thing that most people get started with and get real tough on themselves for missing. And we would do classes here all the time, and surprisingly, the men aren't as structurally upset when they miss. The women are. Women are very competitive. They act like they're not, but they are. Miss Johnson is a very competitive shooter. She is very, very, very accurate when it comes to a firearm. She shoots very slow, but she is precise. Last summer, speaking of that, guys, we're going to start the summer coming up. We're going to start those pistol leagues again. We're going to do the 22 pistol leagues again and the 9mm pistol leagues again. And if you're interested in that, we'll have more information as the weeks come by. You know, being competitive in certain things will help you build an overall roundness of a good shooter. We want to be as accurate as we can be. We want to control the weapon, but I don't think we need to put that kind of stress on top of us when we're actually using the pistol. So, this drill, what I want you to do is I want you to put it out at 3 yards. I want you to run 5 shots into each circle. Now, we talked many times before how to aim a pistol. If you don't know that, go ahead and check some of our playlists out on our YouTube channel. And there's one about 6 o'clock hole. There's one about how to aim a pistol. There's a ton of stuff. But I shot this at the 6 o'clock hole. If you don't know what that is, that's actually using your front post and your back post. Line your sights up and just aim it slightly below the circle where you have a consistent point of aim. This is where most competitive shooters, how they win is they have a consistent point of aim. Most people who are defensive shooters put the barrel in the center of the target and expect to hit the bullseye. Well, technically, that bullet doesn't fly in a straight line, it flies in an arc, and you would be impacting high if you use the center barrel in the one, for instance. If you're taking your pistol and covering the one, then your accuracy is going to be a little weird because you can be shooting high. And again, with 2 and 3 and 4. Now, if you hold it in 4, you most likely will hit the 4 circle. But when you're holding in 1, you most likely shoot higher than you're supposed to. So it's imperative that you get yourself a good, consistent point of aim each time. And this makes you more accurate. Where most people become more inaccurate with a pistol is not having proper grip or not having proper stance or pulling the trigger, not pressing the trigger, if that makes sense. Excuse me. Now, what are the negatives of being uh, a bullseye shooter? What, John? What do you mean negatives? Well, the negatives are there, bud. They're negative. There's positives and negatives of everything. We need to think about this as a bullseye shooter. You know what? They're not tested. They're pressure tested. Now, I say that, but I can imagine being in the Olympics with all those cameras on. There's got to be some pressure there, but they're often shooting in a controlled environment. What I'm trying to say to you, no one's going to jump out and try to get them. They're not being scared in that. Now they're dealing with the stress of being in competition, but they're not tested against 12 o'clock at midnight, getting accosted in the middle of the parking lot, things like that. The average bullseye shooter shoots slow. They're slow shooters. A shooting pace is their shooting space is usually slower and deliberate, which isn't ideal in a real world situation. Number three, there's very little movement. Technically, typically they're in a static shooting position, rarely includes drawing, moving, engaging multiple targets. They're not defensive minded. The training does prepare them for surprises or life threatening situations. And number five is they may emphasize perfection, focus on tight groups that can be more obsessive and hindering in their abilities. You really think about it. Do we need to have every round stack when we're in a defensive situation? And the answer would be no. So, as just as we talk about a bullseye shooter, we still have the defensive shooter we need to discuss and what's the positive and negatives of them. A defensive shooter trains for real life encounter, home invasions, muggings, or active threat. The goal isn't just accuracy, but speed, awareness, and survival. The positives of being a defensive shooter is you're going to be able to train under stress. In other words, if you see these guys that go to these tactical classes, they're actually put to a higher standard. They're having to run around, maybe do push ups, do something else besides just sit stagnant and shoot. Using scenario based drills to simulate real world situations is a better way to train. Now, a lot of drills, a lot of ranges don't allow you to do that, but there are a lot of things you can do in home with dry firing, drawing from the holster, kneeling, and things like that, that will allow you to impede some stress. We don't allow a lot of students here to draw from the holster. Now, we do have a enhanced pistol class coming up April the 12th here at the range. You need a weapon, you need two magazines, you need a holster, coverwear, and 250 rounds. And we're going to shoot around cover, magazine changes, multiple targets, shooting and moving. And that is a good, fun Saturday night. Starts at 5, going to go to about 7, 7:30. It's going to give you the ability to learn the draw stroke and a lot of different stuff. If you're local, listen to this. We'd love to have you. Uh, and we're going to put you under some stress. One of the things we do here, which is kind of cool in any of our TAC classes, is we have a track system here, which you push the button, the target goes all the way to the back. You push the button again, it comes all the way forward. Well, we'll be working in the range itself when we're doing these targets, and we'll have someone running the track system forward and backwards, and then we have the students sit and hold their weapon, and we tell them to draw and shoot when it's time, if that makes sense. And that kind of puts a little stress involved in them. You can actually take the same defensive accuracy drill you see here and have a person call out the number to shoot, whether you're doing A, B, C, and D, or blue, red, green, and purple. You could do all that stuff and do call out drills that works out really well for you. Or you can have set the weapon up to have a dummy round in it versus something else. These are a lot of drills, that manipulation drills or things that happen in a defensive situation. We got to get that round out, clear the weapon, and get back into the fight. So, number one, you are going to train under stress. Number two, we're making faster decision making, fast decision making, practicing rapid target acquisition and threat access. One of the things we do in the TAC class once in a while is we'll put a knife in one guy's hand and, picture wise, and we will put a guy in the back there with a pistol. There are three targets. You got to figure out which one's going to be the biggest threat. Obviously, the one closest to you is the threat. But obviously, if the guy has got open hands and the guy behind him has a pistol, the pistol will be the threat. And then we call out who to engage first, and we're putting two to the body in each one of those targets. And those build your heart rate up a little bit. Uh, Realistic scenarios drills often include movement, low light conditions, close quarter combat, push off the target, engage out of your holster. Don't get to a point of getting full extension. These are things that we do because you're going to find yourself one way or another in a situation where you may not be able to get both hands on the weapon at the same time. So there's a lot of realistic scenarios that we can put you through that would help you. Practical accuracy. Focus on combat effective hits. This is rather than tiny groups. I I Pete, I want to make sure you understand. I'm not telling you to shoot as fast as you can, but the faster you shoot with a pistol, the more less bull crap you're thinking about, and the more you get in your way and you cause accuracy. But I told you before, if you're using an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, or you're using an 8-inch paper plate, or you're using a 6-inch paper plate, those are good targets for you to use, or the 3 by 5 card, because those are good targets for you to focus on. If I can hit that, I can win. I can win because those are a lot smaller than the vital triangle that we most likely are going to be working on anyways. Vital triangle starts at the shoulders and goes to the groin. So it's imperative that we're able to impact those targets as easy and as quick as we can. Sights on a firearm are a convenience. They are not a necessity. So when you think about this more than anything else, a level pistol, I've said this multiple times, a level pistol shoots level. As long as the weapon is level and it's pointed towards the target, you most likely, anybody who watches this video, if I said to you, here's your 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, can you impact the target? Probably 85% of you guys could. And that's what we need to really think about more than anything else. Combat effective hits is imperative because they go from the top of the chest all the way to the belly button, basically. In mindset orient, develop situational awareness, a mindset, and a confidence under pressure. How much under pressure? It all depends on what you want to put yourself into. But there are as much positives, there are negatives as well. A negative of a what we consider a defensive shooter would be less precise. They may accept larger groups, less than perfect hits as good enough. Now we need to be careful with that because we don't want to put too much of a slower standard on anything. We got to remember that we are responsible for our bullet until it hits the ground. So getting ourselves in a situation, well, that's good enough, is probably not the best way to train. This is why we always talk about, I think, a little bit of both versus one or the other, if that makes sense. I don't think anybody, unless you're training for the Olympics, I don't think there's a position that you need to be a bullseye shooter compared to a defensive shooter, or a little bit of both, if that makes sense. So it's good enough is probably not the best scenario for most people. We want to be as accurate as we can be, but don't put a hurdle up that you cannot put yourself into or win. Uh, You can skip fundamentals. True fundamentals will make you accurate no matter what. So proper grip and proper stance and proper trigger control and proper sight alignment. Driving that pistol with your chest muscles, you're going to control that weapon. If you control that weapon, you're going to be accurate. But you cannot skip fundamentals. And most people who are self-defense shooters are just worried about, can I impact the vital triangle? They depend on more equipment if you really think about it, whether it be a red dot, lights, holster, instead of pure skill. Now, I don't think the holster is going to make you more accurate, but I think people get too caught up on red dots in lasers and things like that, and say, "Well, by the way, because the red dots on my gun, I'm going to be twice as accurate as the other guy." Trust me, I have people come to the range every day with a new pistol that they put a red dot on. I can shoot it, put it out there, sight it in, and run the pistol. No problems. When they shoot it, they're pulling the trigger. You pull the trigger, you pull the gun. And that's the one thing, red dot or not red dot. Red dot does not make you more accurate. It just gives you a focus point. to put the weapon on, and you have to learn that weapon just as much as anything else. Uh, it's harder for you as a defensive shooter to measure progress. This is why when we give you these drills through the YouTube channel, we're trying to make it more complicated for you. This 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch drill is somewhat challenging and difficult for you to pass. I knew when I did this drill, I knew one was going to be my biggest challenge because that's a 1 inch circle at 3 yards. That is a small target. And then, especially at 3 yards, it's only 3 yards, only 9 feet. But at 9 feet, there's a lot of manipulation can happen. The one I thought I was going to miss, I did not do too bad. I cut the line on the one, and I left one out, one out, but three, 4 in, I think, or 3 in. I don't remember exactly. But the rest of my cleared. Now the 4 one, I put it more to left. I shot more lefty. They were in the left side of the quadrant, which that's just me slipping my fingers in the trigger too far. Or, but what ended up happening is this is not only a defensive drill, guys. This is a speed and accuracy drill as well. So I ran number one as slow as I could because I knew for a fact that if I rush that, I'm going to pull them. And as I got to two, which doubled the size of number one, I was able to go a little faster. And then three, I was able to go a little faster. And four, I went as fast as I could. That's why I drew the one out to left a little bit, which was somewhat challenging for me. So the one cool thing about being a defensive shooter, you can actually shoot a little faster. I think the problem for most students, no matter what, is most people are shooting too many rounds at a time. Go ahead and comment. Let me know how many rounds you shoot every time you go to the range. That'd be a good opportunity to talk about that. Let me tell you why. People always ask, why do you only shoot 5 rounds? If the magazine holds 15 rounds, why don't you shoot all 15? Because I know I can control 5 rounds. I know I can keep the weapon level and control the 5 rounds and be accurate with it. I know as I get further along, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, I'm going to have to do a lot more driving of that weapon and more manipulation to control the firearm. And if I can't control the firearm after five, I'm actually along for the ride until the weapon is empty. And those are wasted rounds. Every time you impact the target and win, you've learned something. Every time you impact the target and the bullet's going somewhere where it shouldn't go, or it shot high, or one went up high, one went low, one went left, one went, you know about this. You've seen it all the time. You've been to the range, it's happened to you. Those are the ones we learn from. Those are the ones we don't want to learn from. Those are bad habit targets. We don't want a bad habit. We don't need to go to the range and shoot 250 rounds of ammo. I know you only get so many days a week to go to the range, and I appreciate that you come and you shoot at anywhere you go and working on your craft. I get it. But don't you want to make sure you get as much out of it as possible and not picking up bad habits? Loading a magazine full of rounds does not help you at all. It's just waste of ammo, if that makes sense. I'm passionate about that. I know I talked to you guys a lot about that. But if you'll listen to it, most of the students that come to this range work the weapon properly. You should take you about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to cut out 50 rounds downrange and shoot it right, if that makes sense. Because if you shoot it right properly, you're going to be driving with your chest muscles. You're going to be holding with your hands. Most of the beta students that ran the 50 rounds at a time, they're here 40 minutes, 45 minutes, because not only are we visually seeing not only visually seeing what the thing is, but we're physically understanding what's going on. We need to identify what we're doing with each one of these bullets. So here's a little trick for you. This weekend, sometime before you go to the range next, go get you some markers. Go get you a pink marker, a blue marker, a red marker, a green marker, a yellow marker, whatever you need to do. And I want you to shoot 5 shots, and I want you to call those 5 shots the pink color, and I want you to mark them, the hole, to mark the hole. And then when you shoot your next 5, I want you to mark it blue. And then the third shot, third 5, I want you to mark those red. And that way you can identify what you're doing. And I guarantee you, if you start looking at these and start focusing on, get your phone out, take a few photos, maybe some video, you'll start understanding. Look at this. First shot was good. Second shot was good. Third shot started getting a little loose. Fourth shot got loose. Fifth shot got loose. And they were all over the place. Well, that tells you right there you're losing your control of the firearm. You're not driving it, you're not holding it, you're doing something wrong. And we can start educating ourselves on what's causing our inaccuracies. That's the whole idea of the beta group. That was the whole idea of the masterclass, is that for these students to identify their problem and solve it. Now, obviously, they had me, and many years ago, Johnny put me in a doctor's uniform and cut my head off, put me on a doctor. And there was a video we did, multiple videos we did called The Shot Doctor. And I'm able to look at these targets and sort of identify what the student is doing wrong and then help them see what they're doing wrong and let them get the concept of it. That's all I'm doing when we're very fortunate in the beta group that we had four or five. We had 5 locals. This time we only have 2 locals, which is okay. I'm cool with it. But the 2 locals and have shot a little bit, but it's great to work with them because I see their targets every week, anyways, because I work with them. But these drills they haven't done, and these drills are going to help them visualize or see what they're doing wrong. Wouldn't it be great to be able to identify that I'm putting too much finger in the gun, or I'm not gripping properly, or I don't have the gun over my dominant eye, or I'm not doing something right? The cool thing about the beta group, the cool thing about the ebooks, the cool thing about the YouTube channel is you got me. I'm there. You can look it up on a video. You can send me a comment. You can ask me a question. You can go to SpeakPipe, ask me a question. That's the whole idea of this thing, guys. I'm passionate about getting you to the next level. That's all I want to do. And I love this stuff. And I hope it shows. All right. So let's keep going. I'm sorry I went off on a tangent there. Your training can get sloppy. That's the one thing I would tell you is we need to make sure that we keep our concept of yes, accuracy. I don't need to stack these. I don't need to clover leaf these, but I still need to keep them in a softball size. If I said a softball size, you kind of get the idea of that, right? If those rounds are all in that right there, and you're able to get those rounds all laid out like that, that's going to help us. Now, it's hard to identify those without your markers, right? So get your markers, shoot your targets, shoot 5, mark the 5 on the target, and then you ain't to worry about it so much. You can go get the same target, do it again, or print another one. Let's put about 25 rounds in the target, put a new target up. 25 rounds on the target, put a new target up, right? At that point in time, you start taking pictures, identifying, write down the dates, make your journal. You'll understand when it's a good day, it's a good day. When it's a bad day, get the hell out. Right? We all have that. We all have the good days. We all have the bad days. We want to get in, shoot our targets, get comfortable. And one of the things most people don't do is they don't finish off with a positive. Most people who shoot 250 rounds finish in a negative because they have ran so many rounds. They have no idea where the impact is. And they pulled the trigger so much. So when you get done, when you're about to leave, when you're about to go, pull that target in as short as you can to make sure you stack those rounds and give me a tight group. Maybe two, maybe three. Save 10 rounds, and finish off with a positive. And I want you to focus on grip, focus on trigger press, focus on trigger control, focus on sight alignment, sight picture. Put it all together and get as accurate as you can be with the pistol. Because if you have the time to be accurate, be accurate. If you don't have the time, be defensive. And we all carry these weapons in our pocket. Pray to God we never need them. But there's not going to be that time you look back and go, is this the time for me to be defensive or accurate? It's a pretty simple question. Shooting a pistol is not complicated, it's complex, but we've got to put it all together in a timely manner. All we're doing, guys, is building muscle memory. And if your muscle memory is to go as slow as you can, well, that's not going to help you in a defensive situation. But if you're a defensive shooter and now you have to have a pinpoint accurate position, I wouldn't recommend this, but the bad guys got your wife and you're not going to take a shot if you weren't positively accurate because you can't. Now, most people wouldn't do that anyway. That's the movie shit. You understand? What I'm saying to you is you have to be confident enough to know if I put the bullet out, if I put the weapon out there and I'm aiming at my target, I'm confident enough to know I'm going to impact close to it, if not on it. And that's the key thing. Now, obviously, the 1 inch circle is a lot more challenging than a 4 inch circle. And we need to work on those distances as we get further along. If you conquer 3 yards, in other words, 3 yards, you're there, no problem. Give me anything, I'm going to hit it. Stop shooting at 3 yards. Go to 5. Conquer 5. Conquer 5 yards. If you're done with that, conquer 7. If you're done with that, get out past that point. Obviously, as a bow hunter, we practice an awful lot at 40 yards. I don't think I have never taken a shot at any animal over probably 25, be honest with you. But when you shoot 40 yards all the time, I used to shoot a Matthews switchback. That's an old bow. I understand now with what you guys have nowadays. And I would shoot a deer, a foam deer in my backyard. And I'd be standing in the middle of the road and just lob that arrow lobbed out there. And I'm shooting 65-pound, 70-pound, 80% let off. And that thing would lay out there and draw in, boom. And I shot broadheads all year. So I cut that deer almost in half. But I actually physically had to make 4 spots on the deer because I'd cut my vanes off my arrows. That's how tight those arrows were. Because with archery, it was all about consistent, consistent, consistent. When you pulled back, you had your anchor point. When you let the feather hit the vein hit your chin here, and you just let that go. I used shot with both eyes open, which helped me shoot with both eyes open at the range here too. Both eyes open is one of those things that most people do not do, but in a high stress situation, you are not going to pop eye. You're going to have one eye open, and when you start shooting with one eye closed, and then you go back to shooting both eyes open, it's going to affect your accuracy, guys. So people can get without structure, some defensive training becomes inconsistent or unsafe. Conclusion: Both bullseye and defensive shooters have valuable skills sets, but they serve different purposes. A bullseye shooter hones precision, discipline, perfection for competition, and mastering fundamentals. A defensive shooter focuses on survival, speed, adaptability in a chaotic environment. The ideal shooter is to find the balance. This is what I want you to become. I want you to define the balance. I want you to be the bullseye defensive shooter, if you don't mind. There's a kind of a mixture of both there. I want you to be the bullseye shooter when you need to be, but understand you can get to that defensive accuracy if necessary. Both of those are going to allow you to focus on survival and speed, adaptability in the chaotic environment. The ideal shooter is to find the balance, building a solid fundamentals from bullseye training, then applying it to defensive scenarios. Understanding the difference will help you train smarter, not harder. When you think about what you're doing at the range, anyways, most people are spending a lot of time trying to impact the target the best way they can. If you ever been to the range and you shoot fast, you most likely find out that you're not thinking a lot of stuff and your accuracy's a lot better when you're trying to focus on everything. You tend to juggle a lot, and there are when we juggle something, if you think about it, safety has to stay in the air the whole time, and everything else tends to fall sooner or later. So, our job is to build the best muscle memory we can with the weapon, working on the fundamentals as well as working on a target size that's going to benefit you. Because I told you before, the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, if I asked you today, and you guys, most of you could tell me, if I put that out at 3, 5, and 7 yards, most of you should be able to impact the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with all 5 rounds. Now, if you can't do that, you need my help. And I'm here to help you as much as I can. So watch these videos we got coming up here on the YouTube channel. Check out one of these master classes we got coming up and get into one of these classes. It'll help you tremendously conquer your handgun in 4 short weeks. Okay, let's go to some comments. Looks like we got a few here. We'll see what's going on there. All right, comments. Boom. All right, go to the top here real quick. Uh, all right, so Howard, yeah, thank you. Oh, we live in Marathon, Sombrero Beach. Yes, I can tell here's my story, buddy. This is Howard. Miss Johnson and I went to. It's right across the street from the Pancake House. I don't know what the name of the place is, but we went to Sombrero Beach. I fished. We went down there. We had a bunch of people there. I brought a fishing rod. One of the things I wanted to do. This was 2 years ago, and I caught a snook, and everyone on the beach was so shocked that I was down. They fished all day. I went down, weighed fish, put a white jig on, and bam, I caught a nice little snook there. I love that place. It was awesome. Miss Johnson and I are not beach people. We live in Fort Myers. We have beaches here. but we don't never go to them because both of us burned so fast. But that was a week. That was a week. We just spent a week there, and we went to Sombrero. We went to Bay Honda. We went all those places. Guys, if you ever get a chance, all of you spend some time in the Keys. There's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. Uh, they have airport. You can fly right in, and there's so much stuff to do. So much stuff to do. I must disappoint myself every time I don't take a boat down there. That's the one thing. Thank you, Howard, for commenting. Howard says that he is primary defensive, but practice for Bullseye. That's exactly what you need to do, Howard. Howard, have you ever been on our live before, sir? Or is this your first time? You can comment down. All right, we got Jeff. Jeff saying good evening from PA. Welcome, Jeff. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're here, sir. We got Jim's asking for a target. We'll take care of you, Jim. Don't worry about that. All right. Next one is from Finley Investments. This is Jose. Enjoy your podcast. I practice for defensive purposes. Would really like to challenge myself with that 4-inch circle target. 4-circle target. If you could share it, would appreciate it. Personal best regards. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, we'll get it to you, bud. Don't worry about that. You'll get it. It's a great drill. I would recommend both of you guys who are getting the targets go to my YouTube channel, watch the video first, then get to the range and try it out. That's going to be the best thing for you. Okay. And obviously, you have any questions about it, you can always comment. Let us know. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Jose. All right. Next, we're going to go. Raphael Rogue. How you doing, Ralph? Hola. Hola, amigo. Glad you're here, pal. And then we have Family Investments again. Both 38 special 9mm practice 5 rounds per circle give me the opportunity to pull the target in and assess results. That is the one thing I can tell you guys all the time. You have to assess what you're doing. That's what the markers do. The next guy I'm going to be talking to is Stanley, and Stanley is one of the guys in our beta group, but Stan himself actually physically uses the markers as well. So that's the wonderful thing about that. All right. 25 rounds, 5 rounds at a time. Beautiful. I plan to work on a head at a time and most 3 different drills, 9mm, 2 different drills with a 380. Beautiful, Stan. That's exactly what you need to do. 380, you expect to do a little bit different because it's a smaller pistol. But working on some program, having a plan, guys. This is the one thing I see most people have a problem with is they do not plan their range time. They just come to the range and shoot, which is okay if that's what you want to do. But remember, every time you touch this pistol, you're picking up a habit. Is it a good habit or is it a bad habit? And that's the thing we need to talk about. All right. Beautiful. Oh, thank you, Howard. John Howard says that's not a cool thing. Having John's tutoring now, that's everything. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Thank you, Howard, again. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, buddy. Oh, he's got him a rainbow bin. Yes, the Hidden Cafe. That's a beautiful place. Pretty darn good food. Yep. You know what's funny is I went out the first day. Heidi likes to unpack the whole room. She likes to take all of her luggage out and put it in all the drawers. And listen, that's what she wants to do. That's what she does. So she looked at me and I saw that water and she goes, "Go ahead." So I grabbed my fishing rod and I went out. The first 2, 3 casts, I caught a big old snapper, man. I thought, oh, this is going to be a great week of fishing. When you catch a fish like that, wade fishing, right off the bat, I thought, oh my God, I didn't catch another damn thing until going home. I stopped on Alligator Alley and picked up like four peacock bass, which was a fun trip. But I fished all over Bay Honda. I fished for 6 hours and got chased by a shark, little sand shark, and I caught a little pinfish, but that was about it. I didn't catch anything. But yeah, I love that place. It was awesome. Right on the beach. It was beautiful, beautiful place there. Beautiful place. Yeah. Thank you, Howard. Well, guys, thank you very much for being here this evening. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. You are a asset to me, and you mean a lot to me. I started this channel many years ago for the purpose of, yeah, I'll talk to you about that, Raphael. 1 second. I am. I started this to motivate, educate, entertain, and I really, really in the last this first of the year, my channel has really blew up because of people like you. So what I'm going to ask you to do now today is I need you to check your YouTube channel and make sure you're still subscribed to my channel. A lot of times things happen, and I'm not saying nefarious wise, but there are things that people get unsubscribed all the time. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I want to remind you again about the ebooks. Those ebooks are on our website. Each one of these ebooks are about trigger, about stance, it's about why you shoot low and left. There's a lot of different stuff. These books are normally on sale, normally cost $3.99. We actually have them for $2.99. I want to give you one for free. All you have to do is pick one of the books that's on our website, put it in the cart, and put free book at checkout, and it's yours for free. Now, if you want to add a couple more of those books in the cart, which are only $2.99 because they're on sale, whole dollar off, you can. It would not hurt my feelings one bit. And what are they about? They're about grip and stance and trigger control and sight picture and sight alignment. And when you do that, you'll be sporting a family owned business and you'll be supporting my family. And I truly appreciate it. They are great downloadable books that will give you the education you need to become more proficient with the pistol. Now, Ralph Rogue, he says that he is right handed and right eye dominant. That's great, buddy. That means the weapon needs to be over your right eye when you're shooting. If you're right handed and right eye dominant, the weapon needs to be there. If you have the weapon over your nose, you most likely are going to be shooting left. You need to make sure that you put the weapon and eye lined up together, and it'll make you more confident and a better shooter. Thank you again for this evening. I appreciate you very much. You can always comment on our YouTube channel, and we answer every one of our comments. Whether they're good or bad, I still say thank you. So you do you, boo. God bless. Be safe. And thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Have a great night, guys. Love you.